that taken care of soon and people will start working again.
Now, what are some of the industries as we are starting to recover and starting to come back? What are some of the industries that you are starting to see that are starting to kind of emerge and starting to kind of get busy again?
Right. So two key things: supply chain, like people who kind of take products back and forth, and also retail and restaurants. So with supply chain, it's always been doing really well. Even during COVID, they found ways to navigate that. But supply chain is huge right now, just with people going back and buying things in person. And, businesses need that supply chain inventory, to be able to meet that need of their client. So they're flourishing. They're doing great. And then also, just from a retail standpoint, people just walking back into Ponce Market, Perimeter Mall, Lenox, Phipps, like things are starting to pick up more and more. And having the confidence to go in person. So just kind of retail in general and supply chain, I've seen a lot of great, signs from them that they're going to be flourishing the rest of 2021 and moving forward.
Wow. Are you seeing any new areas or so, because so many people had to do, we've been talking about the great pivot, and so many people had to kind of shift and pivot a lot of things that they were doing in their business. Are you seeing any new industries out there that are kind of emerging? Because every crisis, something new kind of emerges that kind of just baffles us all. So,
right. Well, I know obviously coming out of the pandemic, we're going to see a lot of new different things and innovative technologies just in regards to new things and new concepts being brought out, which is awesome. And it shows the great work that God does in people's lives. But, honestly, if we're being completely transparent, I really haven't heard of anything yet, but I'd love to, let you know when I do hear more about new industries coming up.
Oh yeah. Now, you've been in the small business consulting world for a while. What are some of the things that you consult small businesses on?
Sure. So I do a lot of different things. And thanks for that question. I kind of consult from an HR and payroll perspective.
Okay.
It kind of goes onto the scope of, hiring employees, how they should hire them, bring them on, navigate their termination, in regards to processing payroll and handling that aspect of it, and kind of where and what to pay them, and what they should differentiate between a W-2 and 1099 contractor. And that's kind of one of the two key things I wanted to address today.
Okay.
Is really something that I love to talk to you about business owners is W-2 and 1099 differentiation for the employees.
Okay.
So obviously with the business owner, they've got great products. They have a ton of different hats they're wearing. Really worrying about whether or not an employee should be a certain classification isn't sometimes a concern, but can really hurt at the end of the day with audits from the IRS. So there's a lot of things that I love to talk about in regards to that. So the example I have in regards to an employee in 1099, I always ask two questions: is how independent is the employee, and how much control can be exercised over the worker?
Wow.
So it's kind of a key distinction in the employee's right to control the worker. That's kind of the main distinction between W-2 and 1099.
Okay.
And so if I put an example into place, say, Kevin, with the housing market going crazy, I'm sure with all of your different businesses, I'm sure you have like 20,000 houses by now, but it's going crazy out there. So say, you hire a painter, right?
Okay.
And say you're, handling out the responsibilities. So if it was a W-2, if you consider the painter a W-2, that's when they would come in with a set schedule, a set amount of hours, and a set of responsibilities. So if I told this painter, hey, John, you got to come upstairs, paint that specific color. You have to paint it in this certain amount of time, and you're not working with any other house, and you're just working with me. That's kind of where it would fall under a W-2, because you have a set rule of guidelines. You're exclusively working with them, and you're performing services for that house.
Okay.
Another thing I'd like to point out is if you provide resources such as furnished tools for that painting job, like equipment, materials, training to show how to do that, which hopefully the painter knows how to paint a wall, but sometimes you got to step in as a homeowner. That's kind of where it would fall under the W-2 kind of category, which is really key because, obviously you're taking out state income tax, state unemployment tax, withholding taxes. A lot of different taxes are being added on as a W-2 worker. You want to make sure you're taking care of that every single payroll process when you're paying that painter, instead of having to deal with it at the end or getting audited by the IRS. Now, another thing I love to differentiate is if it was a 1099 contractor, that's if you call a painter and say, hey, can you come in? And they set their own hours, and they, to kind of decide what they want to paint that wall. And they're also working with other houses.
Okay.
So they're kind of working by the job And then also, if they're employing assistants under them, like, having assistants hand them tools and things that they brought to the house, that's where we kind of fall under 1099. And I hope I explained that correctly, but that's kind of the difference between a W-2 or 1099. So that's kind of where I'm at in that same frame. Do you have any questions, or did I explain that correctly in that sense?
No, I think it's a great representation of the difference between the two. Now, one thing that I would ask you, which one do you see is the most beneficial? Because one thing, being a business owner, that I learned the hard way, I got to pay some of them taxes on them employees too, as them W-2 folks. So what way do you see, or what structure do you see is the most beneficial to small businesses?
Right. Hey, great question, Kevin. I appreciate that. Well, there's a lot of different navigations in that area. So it's really up to the owner at the end of the day. It's not black and white. It's really just like what the business owner thinks is sufficient. And they can actually determine that in the SS8 form that you can fill out from the IRS website. It's called the SS8 form, where you can kind of determine, make sure that you're not avoiding any audit in the future. But in regards to like the benefits of W-2 or 1099, we can just point to the employee shortage. As an employee shortage, you got competitors who are probably offering retirement benefits, workers' comp insurance. They're employing health insurance and things of that nature. And you can't offer that with a 1099. So with the W-2, yes, you're probably paying 11% in taxes for every payroll process than your normal payroll, amounts, because due to taxes, but you're also finding that top talent and retaining that top talent because you're offering above what other competitors offer. Because if they're a 1099, then you can't offer any benefits in regards to retirement or health insurance or really anything of that nature. So I've seen a lot of business owners go the W-2 route recently, which has really, really helped them, keep that top talent and not have any employee shortages.
Wow. Now, when it comes to starting to get into like benefit packages, a lot of small businesses, of course, insurance is probably one of the biggest problems when you start talking about small businesses, because with those small groups, it's just astronomical what the cost is on that, as well as some other things. So what from a small business perspective, when it comes to these benefits, what are some of the things that you are helping clients to kind of discover that they can offer?
Sure. Yeah. So I handle mostly HR and payroll, and I have different people kind of handle that navigation. I relay that to them, and they kind of take care of them from that perspective, from a benefits side. So I can't really speak much on that other than kind of the key overall benefits.
Okay.
But I've seen a lot of value just in we're kind of offering those benefits as we talked about. Just, I know it's a big expense for some people, but if you're finding the right broker that can determine that relationship and find the best needs for your company, it's really a lot less than people think at the end of the day when they look at the numbers. So it's just really about establishing a relationship with the right people and finding the right amounts to pay for your workers and just kind of evaluating that. I know as a business owner in any industry, in any category, it's always important to evaluate your processes no matter what that is.
Oh, yeah, constantly.
Yeah, it really is. And I know, Kevin, we spoke the last couple of months. I know you have so many different things and hats, and understanding that is kind of tough because you got so much things going on in your plate. But you do a great job of evaluating and explain to your listeners all these different benefits, and having such a great podcast and radio show going on. I think it just shows that you can lead by example in this situation and prove to others that it's really important to evaluate because you've done that in your own life.
I'm going to have you back on.
Yeah, but the other thing, I know I got 5 minutes before the mental health comes on with Miss Valentine, but I'd love to just kind of talk about one quick thing: building credit. That's the second key thing I wanted to really briefly discuss.
Okay. And
it's something that's really, really huge that I don't think a lot of business owners know about. And honestly, I didn't know about it until recently of how beneficial it could be. So, obviously coming out of COVID, you're going to want to grow as a company, or you're going to want to establish a great business credit, because when you're going to a loan officer or a bank, you want to make sure that your financing terms are on your side and not the other person's side, because you want a lower interest rate. And with that shows a great credit, or with a great credit gives you that ability to have that and have better repayment options than other people. So the 3 main things that I really love to focus on with people to build their credit and the benefits of it is not only can you obtain business financing quicker and easier from having good credit, because you're getting approved for those small business loans and getting a higher line of credit to purchase goods, but you also have a really good relationship with your vendors and suppliers. So obviously we just talked about supply chain, right? So with people, you have to have good vendors and have good relationships established to get better rates and things of that nature. So having a strong business credit really gives partners that you work with in your industry better overhead inside of, hey, I can trust this person and they'll pay me back if they need to borrow some, more inventory or need to have a higher order, and they're actually going to pay me for that equipment. So it just, at the end of the day, it helps you, and it helps your clients, and it helps your vendors and partnerships as well. But the last thing is it really can protect your personal credit score. I know a lot of business owners that kind of try and navigate that realm and use their personal credit for business expenses and purchases, but that can kind of be a big hit towards your personal credit because you're taking all liability for that those purchases and credits. So if something goes wrong, you really don't want to touch your personal credit in that standpoint. You want to focus more on your business standpoint credit. So those are three key things that I always love to tell people, and just, make sure that you have an upstanding credit. So when you do grow and get bigger, you're going to have the ability to do so.
Well, if anybody wants to get in contact with you or need some help in their business, how can people reach out to you so they can get some help?
Sure. So I'll repeat my cell phone twice. I'm available by text or call. If I'm in a meeting, I'll text you right back. I'm really, as Kevin knows, I'm a persistent guy with that stuff. So
definitely,
you can either text me or call me at my cell phone, which is 770-595-8957. Once again, that is 770-595-8957. But also you can also look me up on LinkedIn. So I'm sure there's not many LinkedIn's on there. So my name is Lincoln, like the president, and then that's M as in mom, ETZ. And you can kind of see some of the examples I talked about on my LinkedIn page and kind of navigate and message me from there. And, I can help as much as I can.
Well, once again, it's Lincoln Metz, business consultant for all small businesses. And one more time, if somebody wants to get in contact with you, matter of fact, just give them the LinkedIn so they can kind of just look you up there and do some networking with you. Can you give us that profile one more time?
Sure. So it's Lincoln, LINCOLN, and then Metz, M as in mom, ETZ. You can just put it into Google, type in LinkedIn as well. It'll come right up. I'm usually the first search engine because I am definitely active on there. I love LinkedIn. Best social media out there for sure.
Well, all right, man. Thank you so much for joining the program today. Everyone, please stay tuned, and we will return with Miss Leslie Valentine in the conversation on mental health, and later on in the program, also Miss Stan Kemp from Kemp Accounting. Right after this.
For almost 20 years, the Overground Railroad has promoted economic development in the Black community. Now more than ever is the time to come together and join this movement to economic freedom. The Overground Railroad online and print business directory puts you in front of your customers and keeps our dollars in the Black community. It's time. Become a member today. Information at overgroundrr.com. That's overgroundrr.com. Connecting our churches, our businesses, and our community. Join the Overground Railroad today.
Time to make a change.
At Align for Life, we work with attorneys across the entire metro area. We are a portal of entry provider, meaning we can ensure your client is triaged accordingly and coordinate all aspects of your client's chiropractic and medical care from start to finish, including referrals to medical doctors, specialists, and imaging. This is Dr. Fowler. Your injury clients deserve the best: transportation, extended hours, and compliance monitoring. We understand your needs. Refer your injury and accident victims right now by calling us at 404-383-1110 or visit us at yourfinespine.com.
Transportation is provided via Uber, and we are open late so your clients can come in after work.
Auto accidents, wellness care, slip and fall. We take care of it all.
They don't understand. They got nerve to be talking about me in my face. Okay, they got nerve to be talking about me in my face. We back right here on the number one rated business show. I hope the number one rated audience hear y'all. I'm gonna get out y'all social profiles before it's over with. But no, a lot of folks don't understand. It'd be so much stuff going on and behind the scenes in radio. It's just a nightmare. But joining me once again, or let me reintroduce Miss Leslie Valentine. See, I wasn't even gonna give you no clout because you want to here to talk about me, but that's all right. I fired my assistant, so now I got some mental health issues.
Clap for myself.
How are you doing today, Miss Valentine?
I'm great. How are you doing, Kevin?
I am doing wonderful. If you do not mind, give us a little bit of background because I know that you are definitely a mental health advocate, but tell us a little bit more about yourself if you don't mind.
Okay. So I am a full-time pharmaceutical rep during the day. Also a full-time mother as well to a 7-year-old. But also I decided to start a nonprofit called L&M Valentine Foundation in September of 2020.
Okay.
I have always started a nonprofit. Friends of mine, we would always get together for Christmas and Easter and put together toiletry bags for the homeless. And then finally in 2020, life happened with COVID. Well, I didn't have COVID, but so I decided to start, go ahead and get this started and have someone start the nonprofit for me.
Okay.
L&M, actually, the initials are for my daughter Lillian and my niece Makia Valentine. So I wanted to create a legacy for both of them. With this nonprofit or foundation, I actually have a scholarship that was created for my niece at Greensboro Day School in Greensboro, North Carolina. It's a $500 book scholarship to a rising sophomore or junior at this particular high school that plays a sport, particularly basketball, has to be a female and particularly a person of color as well. So with that being said, the premise behind it, my niece Makia died by suicide in March of 2020 at the age of 32.
Wow.
So, it was one of those things that I thought long and hard and just saw how so many people were suffering from some type of mental health issue or mental illness or COVID just actually took a lot out of a lot of people this past year, in the early parts of 2020 being shut in, not being able to really be around people or see their family and loved ones. So that's where I started L&M Valentine Foundation. But also the tagline for us is love and motivate. And when I say love and motivate, it's my daughter loves always whenever she sees someone homeless, she wants to give them $1. She's like, the first time she saw someone when she was 3, she's like, well, mommy, can we take them home and feed them? And I was like, well, they're not like they're a little stray puppy outside. We can't take them home, but we can always donate to a shelter, or give them money and help them along. And then, like I said, with motivate, that's for my niece who basically was a star basketball player in North Carolina. She actually went on to play basketball at Wake Forest University on a scholarship, as well as transferred to UC Santa Barbara. Actually ran through the Big West, still owns the school records there for blocks and rebounds. And also she was drafted by the New York Liberty. And then decided to play overseas for basketball. So my goal in motivating someone was that we came from modest means, and my niece was able to go to this high school private school that I was able to do the book scholarship with, and they exposed her to so much. And so, when you come from modest means and someone motivates you, it's like motivate someone to be great. And she was great, although she may not have seen it, but she was great with everything. I mean, basketball, academics, she was an avid writer, reader. So
I tell people all the time, that having that real true experience, that hands-on, let me see it, let me feel it, let me touch it, let me see it's real. It's invaluable to you. It really is. It seriously changes lives. It's one thing to talk about how folks out here living rich and this type of stuff, but to actually see, wealthy families, everybody good, ain't nobody got no issues and this type of stuff, foreclosures ain't happening and all this. I mean, it's really, it really changes people.
It does.
Were there any signs, like depression or just sadness all the time, or was it anything?
I will say years ago, before my mother had passed away, yes. And that was probably 12, 13 years ago. And then when my mother passed away, that she, to most, I tell anyone, when you lose your mother, because my mother raised her, you lose a part of your heart. So that got her as well.
Wow. So is it one of those type of things? Is it a true mental health issue where it's a certain serotonin level type problem? It's a chemical imbalance or bipolar disorder or something like that? Or
Honestly, I wouldn't be able to give you that answer because I don't know
okay,
particularly. But I do know, there was some, like I said, some depression. I don't know if it had been technically diagnosed as clinical, manic, or just situational. Because, as I said, my mother had passed away, and some people suffer from situational depression. But, in attending a lot of different webinars in regards to mental health and suicide, sometimes it's not even something that happens over a long period of time. It's just that someone gets affected by something that triggered.
yeah,
And then it goes from there. So it just depends because some people have underlying mental health issues
oh
and
yeah,
really don't know it until they're triggered.
oh yeah. I just recently, I don't know if you do Apple TV Plus, the Oprah special, the one that she's got about mental health, trying to start that
Mhm.
conversation. And it talked about like Robin Williams' son, how he dealt with the anxiety and the same things that his father did.
Yes.
And it also talked about just several different just amazing people with so many achievements. And you would not believe that these people have this. I feel so worthless. I feel this type of way, and this is the reason why I have to go out here and overachieve and this type of
Right.
thing. So, wow. Now, your organization, your nonprofit, what is it that you guys are stepping in and starting to do now?
My goal is, as I tell people, is to basically prevent another person from deciding to take their life.
Okay.
So, with that being said, my mission is to address the needs of those impacted by mental health issues and illnesses by providing some type of education and knowledge. So, for instance, on May 15th, we actually had a webinar in which Erica Ellis Stewart, she's a mental health advocate from Mental Health of America in Central Carolina, facilitated this conversation. It was a 2-hour conversation that we had on Facebook Live,
Wow.
in which people were able to ask questions about anxiety, depression. She showed people different ways of what really self-care is, or how you can grade how you feel that day or how you're feeling, just in general, or resources where you can go to get help if you feel like you're having a mental health crisis as well.
Now, during this whole COVID era, I mean, we've seen like alcoholism is on the rise, drug abuse of all spectrums are on the rise, as well as depression. I think suicide is up, divorce is definitely up. What are some things that people can start to do, or some things now that we're starting to recover because everybody's in this kind of weird norm that we all created for ourselves.
Right.
As we start to open up, a lot of folks having anxiety, a lot of folks have been just down in the alcohol for the last 2 years and this type of stuff. What are some things people can do to kind of get to, I guess not normal, but to their new normal?
Well, as I tell my friends and family, I'm a doctor, but I'm not a doctor. I play a doctor on TV. No, I'm just joking.
I play a radio host on radio.
So basically, I would say therapy. I mean, find a good therapist. Go see your primary care provider. Ask them for a good therapist, or go to contact your local mental health association. There's one in Georgia. Or if you feel like you're having suicidal thoughts, contact your local American Federation of Suicide Prevention, or contact National Association of Mental Illness, which is NAMI. There's so many resources out here for people. Also, they can come to my website, lmmvalentinefoundation.org. And there's resources on there that are provided where you can find someone to speak with, or find one of these organizations that I actually, just spoke about, to get some type of help for what they may be going through. But one thing I will say is that sometimes we as I can't speak for all races, but I will say we as Black people sometimes think that we don't need to go see a therapist and for what may be going on. But right now, I mean, COVID, it was real, and a lot of people were affected. People had family members that died from it. People had COVID and are affected, for the rest of their life with it, with certain symptoms. So I would say contact your primary care provider and see a therapist.
But it's a mom and them fault. It really is. Because, you're supposed to tell your family business, and now I won't even talk about it. Y'all need to just go on, hush, stop talking about all that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? We was raised this way.
We were.
And then all these people holding this stuff in, and then they cracking up, in midlife and this type of stuff. I had to go through it too. I almost, well, but no, definitely. And in the Black community, seriously, it is really starting to. It's people are getting a lot more serious about it. People are getting a lot more proactive about it, and then people are starting to talk about it a lot more
Yes.
too, which I think is the big thing because I think we finally passed thinking people crazy because they got these. Some of y'all crazy, I ain't gonna lie, but. But just because when somebody expresses to you, hey, I'm depressed, I'm sad, I don't really know why, this type of thing, how is a way that you can support someone like that? Like maybe you don't know what to say.
Good thing you asked that question.
I got lucky.
So June 9th, we're actually having an event. It's a virtual QPR suicide prevention course.
Okay.
And actually what QPR stands for is question, persuade, and refer. And it's, this is 3 steps to anyone to learn to help prevent suicide or talk about having a mental health crisis. And this is actually going to be on, like I said, June 9th. And it's, June 9th, sorry, 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And it's also being facilitated again by one of my board members, Erica Ellis Stewart, who is actually, like I said, a mental health advocate with Mental Health of America in Central Carolina. She is actually a QPR instructor. So she will, she'll provide, we'll do it, since we're doing it virtually, there will be some type e-reading for people to have some type of ebook to have on hand, and they will receive a certificate once they've been gone through this particular certification and training.
So you come to me, you say, hey, I feel like I'm about, I just can't take it no more. I just don't know what to do. What's one of those first things that we should do as a friend or as someone that's concerned? Is it time to, hey, hold on, you stay right there, let me go grab somebody, or just stop and listen for a second? Like, what is the best way you can kind of support somebody that's having that type of emotional breakdown?
As my friend, I would like for you to listen.
Okay.
But also once we've had that conversation, I want you to go find someone to help me or guide me in that direction as well. Because another one of our hashtags, I actually have bracelets made for my race, for Makia's Quest for Healing. Wow. And on the back it has hashtag stop the stigma, hashtag stop the silence. And that's the one thing with suicide or even someone discussing a mental health issue with someone is, they become very silent. Because they're afraid that someone is going to judge them or they're going to gossip about them. So, as my friend, listen. But then if you feel that, once you've talked to me and I'm still there, please go, get me some help or take me, even if you have to, and I know no one wants to have to commit someone or take them to say they're a danger to themselves, but that's what friends and family do.
I got you.
So that, at least you have tried. Because not saying that you would prevent that person from actually committing suicide later on down the line or dying by suicide later on down the line, but at least you've tried, and at least and you're trying to help the situation instead of just saying, or if that person says, hey, shh, don't tell anybody, and you're like, no. So, it's like hashtag stop the silence.
Now, one last thing before I let you get out of here. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm gonna put you on the spot. But no, another big thing that we're starting to see is a big rise of depression in kids, especially around that 12-year-old age. And all of us had you got that the whole adolescence and thing to deal with. You got all these changes and things going on in your body. What are some things that parents can be looking for in their children to make sure, hey, you okay? Is anything going on? Because I got girls. Okay, ain't nothing against you because you're beautiful, but y'all emotional, and sometimes I don't know when is it somebody need to deal with, just let it go.
I will say, first of all, I am not a mental health professional, but talk to your kids, ask questions. If you feel like that you need to take them to see someone, then talk to their pediatrician, find out a good therapist, or have them go to their pediatrician and be seen, and let the pediatrician do an analysis of the child and see observe the child and see what's going on, and then go, maybe that pediatrician will say, hey, they're just going through the blues right now, or going through, teenage girls are going through hormonal stages right now because their body is changing. But also, again, therapy, go see your doctor. Make sure the resources that are available to your child as well, because there are so many resources out here for kids as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now, and then some help for parents too, because if your child does come to you saying that, hey, I'm depressed or I'm having these type of issues at home stemming for whatever. Is it a time for a parent to kind of look at themselves and say, hey, maybe I'm doing something wrong, or let's go talk to somebody together?
Yes, I would say let's go talk to someone together because I mean, I wouldn't say
I'm
that
scared to let them folks talk to my daughter without me too. Well, I don't know what you finna tell my baby. Hold up now.
well, we would go together because my child is a minor. No, but it's best to go together instead of handling it as a parent just by yourself.
Okay.
But also do not take it to heart saying that I have done something wrong as a parent,
Okay.
unless you really have done something. But I don't, but that's the one thing. Hey, maybe the child feels like you didn't say I love you enough, or just. I mean, you just never know. Kids are kids. We all were kids, and we all wanted some sort of attention or some sort of gratification or validation from our parents.
Oh yeah.
So
No, I definitely understand that part. But no, I beat myself up a lot about my parents and mistakes. I don't make them no more because I used to beat the mess out of myself over 'em. But you also have your event one more time. If anybody wants to support it, be a part of it, or participate in it, tell us a little bit more about how they can get involved and where they can get some information.
okay, so the first event that we have on June 9th is the Question, Persuade, and Refer QPR, virtual QPR training.
Okay.
You can go to our website at www.lmvalentinefoundation.org, and that's L like Lillian, M as in Makia, Valentine like February 14th, foundation.org. And we have a list of our events that are coming up and where you can sign up, because we do have a Sign Up Genius online for you to sign up for that particular program. It's free to the public.
Okay.
So you don't have to pay anything. Just bring yourself, bring your energy, and learn something. But we also have a big event on July 24th. And that's going to be it's our first annual Makia's Quest for Healing virtual 5K walk and run. Most people are like, well, what's virtual? Hey, you do it from the comfort of your own home. If you want to go outside and run a couple of laps, great.
I caught that and I was like, I ain't saying a virtual run. So we all just gonna be running down the street. You got to give me something on that one. You got to tell me a little bit more. How are we gonna do the virtual run?
So, I mean, what I envision is that, we'll start if people start at 8:00, it ends at 6.
Okay.
You can record yourself, saying, hey, I'm such and such. I've suffered from depression, or I know someone who suffered from depression or
Okay.
mental health, or I know someone who has died by suicide, or I have attempted, So I want it to be an open conversation where people have, run, or walk, because if you exercise, that's another way of helping with your mental health as well, getting some type of physical fitness.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But as you said, what's virtual, you're just basically you're doing it whenever you want to. If you want to dance for 30, 60 minutes and say it's 3.1 miles, hey, it's just all you, wherever you're located at. You can do it from Europe, California, Canada, South America, Brazil. I mean, wherever.
Okay.
It's just an event that, for the whole family, that we all can, get together. And, at the end, it's actually going to be a raffle. We're going to raffle a couple of items away live at 6:00. But also, like I said, if people want to send in videos of what they've experienced, or if they've have a loved one that's experienced a mental health crisis, it's really just one of those things. It's open for people to open up. Let's open up about mental health.
That is, and that's beautiful, and definitely we got to keep that conversation going. And you said July 24th. And where can they go to get the information one more time?
Again, they can go to www.lmvalentinefoundation.org, and it's called Makia's Quest for Healing. Makia's
Quest for Healing. Thank you so much for coming on the program today and sharing your story. We're gonna just go ahead and switch the conversation to Miss Kemp from Kemp Accounting. Thank you so much for joining us today. Because I got so many questions. I got so much stuff to grill you on. This is my money expert. She keep me from being depressed. Okay. And I'm depressed today. So once again, thank you so much for joining the program. All right then, Siri. We're gonna have you on one day too. But no, thank you for joining the program. What you been going? What you got going on since the last time you came on?
Man, it's just been busy between tax season, stimulus money floating on the surface, PPP. Oh my gosh, it's just been crazy. Everybody's trying to get what they feel is due to them and take advantage of all this money because I'm telling you now, you might not ever see it again. But best believe, I believe we're going to be paying for it later because they're going to recycle this back into taxes. So have fun, and I hope you all are using it wisely because you're going to feel it later.
Well, with the economy starting to reopen, things are really getting moving this time, and it really seems like this is going to be the period that we're going to come back. But the stock market is just lagging on. The crypto markets is lagging on. Like, is this lack of confidence in the recovery, or is it we got some bigger issues going on?
I think a combination of both. First and foremost, when you dump and pour so much money into the economy, you're speeding up the economy, yes, but it speeds up so much that it inflates. So
Okay.
we are looking at inflation, and that's the fear. People are becoming very fearful that inflation is about to knock on the door. Some project, this year, 2021, some project end of year, some project next year. But economists know that when you pour too much money and people are spending, it's bound to hit a peak. And when that peak happens, we hit inflation. And so, that the market is a reflection of that. It's all emotional right now. A lot of it, even in the stock space. Look at GameStop. All of that was just a drop of some emotion. It didn't have anything to do with financials. It wasn't nothing fundamental about that. It was all emotion.
Did
you get into GameStop, by the way?
I did not get that play, but I'm gonna tell y'all what I did get, and I'm broken today because of the simple fact when Bitcoin, I got into Bitcoin at about 34,000. Okay, Bitcoin went to 64,000.
Yes,
I could not believe it. I actually sold half my investment right at the 60 mark because I was like, I just don't believe
moving too fast.
Then it just kept going up. I said, well, let me just go and jump back in. And then now we at 36. What is going on?
Again, emotion. It's emotion. People are really fearful of this inflation. Yes, may Bitcoin hit the six figures as everyone's projecting? It very well likely can. But and of course, Elon Musk didn't help the situation at all either. All just shows how powerful one person can be. But people are, in hindsight, are afraid of what's going to happen. So they don't know what to do with their capital. Some are moving into gold. Some are just trying to sit back and wait. And some who are aggressive risk takers are just trying to either sell and short the stock or short Bitcoin versus get on the buy side. So it's just a risky strategy right now. But inflation is definitely the big fear tactic.
So in the money world, if we are looking for somewhere, because we in the middle of the year now, we about to finally start to go into that third quarter. What is the best place to be looking to try to make some money? If you are taking a beating like myself in the markets.
One thing I can always say is real estate is always a good place to put money.
Okay.
It's tough for a buyer because it's a seller's market right now. Extremely tough. But if you can find you a good opportunity somewhere, real estate is still always a good place because even with the higher, the increased market, we're still growing. Take Atlanta. I was just talking to someone on the phone on the way here, and we've got Microsoft that just dumped a building right here in Atlantic Station. Google has a building now in Midtown. And just the other day, they were talking how many people have relocated from New York City down to Atlanta. So it's like Atlanta's becoming
I need to go back home because our traffic is off the chain.
It's crazy. And we've just gotten over 1 million people over the last year. So with all of that, there's going to be a permanent shift of real estate here in Atlanta. So even if you're buying at a higher price point, that does not mean you're at the highest price point. There's still so much room for you to profit off of your investment.
Wow. Now, another question I wanted to get you in on as well. So many people are having these conversations about how to protect their business, especially around tax time. I get so sick of arguing with folks about LLCs and corporations and all this type of stuff. Please explain one more time, or kind of give us the difference between the two different structures when you start talking about tax benefits, tax shelters, and this type of thing. Because of course, the big rumors out there: if you're a corporation, you had to pay taxes twice, and then with the LLC, people think they got all this protection that they don't have. So, can you break that down just a little bit for me?
it's all a matter of what are you trying to do with your business.
Okay.
If you're looking for investors, you're trying to scale, merge. If you're thinking from a bigger perspective, then corporations is always a great way to go. Or if you have a lot of assets you're trying to protect, you may have a lot of equipment, a lot of, you mentioned you're in the medical field. So if you have a lot of equipment, you may want to protect some of those assets. And sometimes being in a corporation can hold better asset protections. But at the end of the day, you're going to pay taxes. Are there double taxations involved in Inc? Absolutely, yes. Because when you pay out those profits, that's in the form of a dividend. You have to pay taxes on that, as well as the corporation itself. When their profits, they also have to pay taxes on that. And keep in mind, what did I say about inflation? Inflation means we are going to pay it back in some shape or form. Biden's already talking about raising the 21% corporate tax to 28%. So for those who are corps, it's going to see that hit. Here's the other piece to that the larger corporations, because I hear this all the time, why don't the big corporations pay all this tax like the smaller corporations do? And it's like the wealthy gets the wealthiest and the poor stay poor. Well, there are so many tax credits and opportunities out there that the bigger businesses and industries are aware of, and they hire professionals, right professionals, to take advantage of those credits. There are about over 1,000 pages in the tax book, and 90% of that is all various ways of how you can save and mitigate your tax exposure.
Wow.
But we don't take advantage of those opportunities. We don't even incorporate the pieces that we need to take advantage of those opportunities.
Because, everybody gets scared of getting audited.
Exactly.
I'm so scared they're going to audit me. They're going to audit me and this type of stuff.
Audits are not bad. All audit does is say, do you have your I's dotted and your T's crossed? That's all it is. If you're doing what you're supposed to do and you hire the right people to manage your books as they should be, then an audit shouldn't be a fear tactic. No one likes to deal with an audit, even when you have everything in sync. But at the end of the day, it's still an audit. It just means you've made money, you have profits, and we just want to make sure that you're keeping track of everything in the right shape, fashion. That's all that is. It's not to say, oh gosh, we're gonna lock you up because people fear for no reason.
Now, another great question, or in the day and age of all this payroll software, HR software, accounting software, and all this type of stuff, the computer with all the algorithms, in your profession, why is it so important to actually have somebody with the experience and somebody that knows exactly what they're doing versus trying to listen to these little, hey, you can optimize this by doing?
Because at the end of the day, because you don't know what you're doing. You know the basics, you know what you heard, you know what this one told you, but they don't know what your business objective is. They don't know your industry. So how can they help you account for something that they know nothing about?
Okay.
So you need to hire somebody who is an excellent representation of not just accounting, finance, tax, but also your industry and your business, and they understand what it is that you're trying to do. Because if I have a business that I'm trying to scale and become in various states or even global, versus a company that says, hey, I want to keep it as a small mom and pop shop, those are two different types of services.
Okay.
And my books will align differently. How I set up and structure will be aligned differently. So you need people who understand your business and understand the accounting and how to read the financial analytics. What am I looking for? How am I ensuring that we are growing and we're putting the right measures in place? What does our strategical plan look like? That's going to vary from business to business, industry to industry. So it's absolute imperative that you get the right person who not only just know how to put some numbers in a software. That's data entry. You want someone who understands the logistics of what you're trying to do.
Wow. There it is.
And you can't be all things too. I'm so over people talking about they want to be the marketing person, they want to be the CEO, the CFO, the CEO, the CTO, and every other O that's out there, or CEO. And at the end of the day, I need my CEOs to be the visionary.
Okay.
I need you to understand where you're taking your business and hire the support people to get you there.
Wow. No, I'm definitely with you on that, because Lord, no, I done said no so much this year. No, I don't know how to do it. No, I don't do that. I'm doing one thing, and that is it. So we just coming out of tax season. I know you still got a load of folks you still working on. What's coming up next? What do you guys have going on for the rest of the year, for the next 6 months?
Well, it's mostly tax planning. So you owe it from the tax realm. You always want to help people understand how to tax plan. People are buying up real estate. People are trying to figure out, I don't want to have a big tax bill at the end of the year. So all of this is all tax planning. You want to make sure that by the end of the year, again, when it's time to file for 2021, that you're not put in places of being in awkward situations. Oh, I've got a $50,000 tax bill. How did that happen? So now I have to start inflating things. And now I'm afraid of an audit because now I got to make stuff up because I don't want to pay a $50,000 tax bill. But if you prepare and plan accordingly, not only can you take better advantage of the credits that are out there, but you have to be proactive versus reactive to do that. You also have to make sure that you set aside proper, because you don't want to tax evade. Uncle Sam is definitely gonna knock at your door and wonder why you aren't paying any taxes. But at the same time, if you manage properly and pay your taxes as you should on a monthly or quarterly basis, then you don't have to worry about when you file your taxes. And if you have a 5, 10 or whatever tax bill at the end of the year, you're not worried about it because you've done what you had to do during the year.
Wow. Now, another thing that you keep making the point of the inflation for a business owner. What are the things that they need to be thinking about now that they see, hey, my supplies are going up, a lot of my costs are going up, my employees are complaining that their salary is less than what it used to be. What are some things that that business owners really need to be looking out for?
They need to look out. They need to stay creative. They need to understand how their industry is shifting. Things change, businesses change, and we have to be able to shift with the change. So you have to stay innovative, creative, which is why I said before, CEO needs to stay focused. They need to be the visionaries and make sure that they're shifting along with the changes of the economy. So as things are moving and progressing, we're becoming a very much more technological base. And then since COVID, everyone's now all online. Everything you just mentioned, virtual a run or a race. So everything is becoming so virtual oriented. A lot of people are closing up their brick and mortars and doing everything remote now. So whatever it is in your space, in your industry, you have to make sure that you're being creative in the shift. And then on top of it, making sure you're multiplying creatively without shifting gears, multiplying your streams of income within that business. Stop getting comfortable with one or two streams or the focus. You have multiple streams of income coming your way within the business.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I see that happen all the time. It's like, this hot right now. Let's ride this one. All right, let's go get this one. Let's get this one. So no, I definitely see that. You got any new books or anything coming out? What you got going on?
How you know? What you've been snooping at? So yes.
I just know you. I know how you do.
Yes, I do have a new book. I'm super excited about it. It will be launched by the end of the summer. It's called The Disparity of Wealth When the Odds Are Against You. I'm really excited about this one. So this actually talks about the synergies of spirituality, economics, and wealth. Wow. And why there's such a big disparity of the wealth dynamics. It really takes us back to the beginning of time and through the Rockefeller era all the way through today. Wow. And nothing's really have changed but time. The foundation of wealth accumulation has been the same. Wow. It's just the time has changed. So the book really digs into all of those pieces.
All right. I can't wait to get that one.
Mm-hmm.
When the seminar?
Well, we are going to start some workshops in July, so I'm excited about that. So you can find out information on the dates and times of the workshops on my social media. All of it is I am Stan Kemp, so you can definitely find more information there. And I'm going to also give a quick shout out because I'm also the executive director of my daughter's new nonprofit organization, so you got to have her on your show. Yes. But yes, Boss Girl, and really excited about supporting that organization and the girls that are involved. They're doing some amazing things.
That's beautiful. Well, if anybody wants to get your financial expertise and get some of your help if they can afford you, how can people reach out to you and find out more information?
Again, they can definitely go to any of my social media channels, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn at I am Stan Kemp.
And once again, it has been another installment of the Number One Rated Business Show right here on the Real 1100 AM. Once again, I'm your host, KC Pride. Please follow me in social media. Follow me on Instagram at I am KC Pride. Everywhere else at Kevin C Pride. Miss Valentine, one more time. I'm trying to get it.
Thank you. L&M Valentine Foundation. Just remember, we have our June 9th event, July 24th event, www.lmvalentinefoundation.org.
All right. We'll be back next week. We out.
Remember in the beginning, when you first started to build a life for you and your family, you never imagined it would come to this. Instead of living your dreams, you're living with debt. In fact,